With a lot of musicals or films that have music, the music is the icing on the cake. But for Back to Black, it was the cake. They were where they were because they weren't decorating her life, they were part of her life.
I don't write songs to be famous. I write songs because I don't know what I'd do if I didn't.
Hello, Sam, Marisa. Welcome to the película. It's fantastic to get this opportunity to talk to you about Back to Black. What a journey. Congratulations are in order, of course. You two powerful women honoring one powerful woman. Marisa, let's talk about the challenge of finding Amy's voice through yours and how it's exciting and maybe scary got the process digging into her light and darkness in order to bring her to life so authentically as you do.
The whole thing together, I think all of these facets are what make Amy. So diving into the voice as well as everything else to really try and encapsulate a feeling of her was really my intention. And there's been so much about Amy out there, and I think that people can forget that when she first appeared in our lives, we were all just so taken aback by the strength of her, as well as her vulnerability. So it was about finding those things again and really bringing it out through Matt's script and this film. And yeah, it was an incredible thing.
There were so many narratives to Amy Winehouse story, but the most important one was the one we find in her songs. How did you manage to integrate the music and especially the lyrics into the narrative of the film, making it the backbone to develop Amy's portrayal?
I think from the beginning, it was really important that when we sat down to work on the movie, Matt and I decided we wanted to make like a musical, but not a musical in the traditional sense, but to have the whole film dictated by the music and the lyrics, so that the lyrics really took us through the narrative, so that you couldn't switch one song out for another. You couldn't put Stronger Than Me later on in the movie or vice versa, put Tears Dry on Their Own at the beginning. It had to go through the progression of the songs, and that sort of led us through the movie. And it just felt right to do that, just to kind of remind people what a brilliant lyricist, songwriter, and singer that she was.
The relationship between Amy and her father, Mitch, was central. She was a daddy's little girl. How did you approach this emotional role, understanding his perspective and portraying him in a nuanced way in the film, working alongside Marisa?
About a year before the film was made, I knew that they were going to ask me to play Mitch. And I approached a friend of mine who had worked with Amy and Mitch and had first-hand experience of their relationship. And I asked him what his opinion of Mitch was. And now my friend, children and my children go to school together. We're both parents of teenagers. And my friend said that he liked Mitch. He thought he was a father who loved his daughter, but there was an impossible situation and he did his best, but he made mistakes. And I recognized that within myself as a father of children, that I love my kids, but I make mistakes every day. So before they sent me the script, I decided that I wouldn't do the film if it sanitized Mitch or it demonized him. I would only do it if it showed the true humanity. And I was pleased to see that Matt, the writer, and Sam, the director, had the same vision. We was all on the same page. When I got given the script, I wrote at the top, "He is a father." That's what I wrote, and that's how I played it.
I want people to hear my voice and just forget their troubles.
Can you discuss how you work together, bringing Amy to life in all of her facets, as you were saying?
The relationship between actor and director is tantamount and so important, because especially something like this where it's so intimate, personal, and I felt like, the space had to be protective of Marisa playing this role, and as well as protective of Amy and how we portrayed her. So, it was a really sort of, I don't know, it's been a sort of strong bond throughout the entirety of the shoot. And we had, 100% women in our heads of departments. So that sort of also felt like another layer of protection in a way to protect the story and Marisa as we went on quite an intense journey.
Mm-hmm. Marisa, how was the experience of playing with Amy's band? And of course for you, Sam, to be able to reunite many of them to do this for the film, that's very significant.
It came at a time where I was, I think, ready finally to show people how I'd been working on the voice and on sort of the telling of her story through her music. And it was definitely nerve-wracking to do that for the first time with her band, but they were so supportive and kind to me, and also, you know, incredibly helpful. These are the people that Amy chose to be around her. So it was helpful to see, like, you know, how they joked with each other and what they were like, and listen to their stories. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was an amazing moment. We recorded it all at Abbey Road, which obviously is a very famous recording studio. And just in the moments where I saw Marisa standing there singing with Amy's original band was so powerful, so much so that I had my camera with me and I didn't want to take pictures because I wanted to really absorb that moment. And also because it felt like such a kind of fragile sort of moment of emotionally, you know, emotionally, I think for Marisa to stand in front of her, Amy's band, and declare, you know, I can carry this. And for Amy's band to see Marisa stand there and deliver. And it just felt so intensely beautiful when it worked, you know?
Yes, no, it was wonderful to work with them, and I just think everyone felt the same about wanting to tell a story of Amy that had truth and integrity, and that would inspire a new generation with her authenticity and her creativity. She was somebody who didn't care about being famous. She didn't want to be a brand. She wanted to be like her idols, like Billie Holiday and Ella Fitzgerald and Sarah Vaughan. Those were the people she aspired to be. And I think that in our culture today, when there's so much going on with branding and social media, it's great to see someone with that authenticity, where it's all about the creativity. And that's what I hope a new generation will take from the movie.
Can you share some insights on how this film offered you the opportunity, as you were telling us, to explore a deeper understanding of this father-daughter bond beyond the headlines?
When somebody like Amy dies, somebody so talented, and they die so young, and yet they've affected our lives in such a profound way, there is a collective trauma in society. And one of the ways of dealing with trauma is to try to understand it. We latch on to a comfortable narrative. A comfortable narrative in this story is that Blake and Mitch are to blame. And the reason that's reassuring to us is we think, well, if our daughter doesn't meet someone like Blake, and if I don't behave the way that Mitch behaved, then this won't happen to me and my children won't die. Well, addiction doesn't work like that. Addiction is random, and it's arbitrary, and it's chaotic, and it's cruel. And what I love about this film is that the villain, because it's shot from Amy's perspective, and she loved Blake and she loved Mitch, the villain of this piece isn't Blake and it isn't Mitch, it's addiction. And that's what I think is the message of the film.
I want to be remembered for just being me.
Can you discuss the importance of music in storytelling from a producer's perspective, and how it can elevate a film's emotional impact as we see it on the film?
In approaching making a film about Amy Winehouse, the music was the most important thing, and to get the permissions and the approvals from the record companies and the publishers was job number one. And I didn't approach my director, Sam Taylor Johnson, until that was all done, because there was no point in making a film if one didn't have those permissions. And when Sam came on board, she was very clear that she didn't want to get any other approvals. It was just the music that she needed, and the music for us was such an integral part. I was saying earlier to Matt, I think, you know, with a lot of musicals or films that have music, the music is the icing on the cake. But for Back to Black, it was the cake. You know, it's all about music. And Amy's songs, particularly because she was a singer-songwriter and the songs are about her life, though we had to find the pieces of music that she couldn't move on to the next part of her life without having written that song. So they were fixed in the sand at each place they were. And Matt made those choices, but they couldn't be moved about in the edit. Usually in an edit, you would be thinking, oh, maybe we'll put this song here, or shall we try that one there? But we couldn't do that with this. They were where they were because they weren't decorating her life. They were part of her life. No,
it was like music was the backbone of the story.
Yeah,
I love how you did that.
That was the first thing that we did. It was not the story narrative, you know, the emotional arcs. It was like, what music are we going to use? Put that on the spine, and that was on the board first.
What message do you hope audiences can take away from the film regarding the importance of understanding and communication within families?
I hope people come away with the idea that they appreciate how brilliant Amy was and how grateful we are to have her in our lives. And also to realize, to come away with a greater compassion with those who suffer from addiction and for their families, because it's terrible. They not only the addicts, but the families suffer terribly, and people should have more compassion and understanding.
I hope that they'll take away Amy's spirit of triumph and fun and celebration, and maybe dissipate some of the darkness that surrounds her and let the sun come out.
Yeah, I just think, you know, to take away the plastic wrapping of some pop culture, and artists like her, you know, wish there was more of them, but, you know, just that creative honesty. Hopefully young kids today will see what she did and what she did for the world, and copy her, really.
Congratulations on the film, Marisa. You are spotless on the film, and Sam, you are amazing. So thank you so much for being with us on the película.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
you.
Amy Winehouse.